Let's see how we do. I am coming to you from the occupied city of Washington, D.C. Feels weird not to bring it up because, damn it all, it feels weird to be here at all. But, you know, we're doing the damn thing, and what better way to spend a Thursday than playing a game that talks about the complicated relationships between power and resistance. So we're going to start here and really just throw ourselves into it for a little bit. You know, have some fun with the rats. The goal here being, you know, the tombs are fun. A part of what's interesting as you get into this is how you can. It's kind of fun. You can unlock Altair's armor and sword before you can unlock sort of the final round of paid upgrades, which is an interesting thing. I'll admit that's part of the reason why I wanted to go back and do the tombs. It's also the game. We're at the point in the game where, you know, increasing our income just makes it easier to get to a point of pushing things through and keeping them moving forward. This is also fun. I love the design here is nice, where you sort of start in the well and work your way up through the cellar and into the library. And, you know, as you can see, it's continually having us climb the tower. You know, which is, I mean, very much from the jump, the game is built as a like climbing and stealth game. And so it's nice to see that play out and have the design carry forward. Again, it's wild to think that 2 years ago we were in Assassin's Creed 1, where, you know, everything was much more repetitive. The visuals, the climbing mechanics, like you didn't have unique little portions of wall like those little circle hooks to, you know, both stand out in the space and also that feel part of the architecture, but also clue into like this is a unique climbing puzzle. It's sort of a different animal entirely from space to space. This is also fun because this is the inside of the tower from the assassination mission with the guy who was ranting from the top of the tower when we went and killed Lorenzo. Where we had to sort of take out the archers as we were trying to climb up from the surrounding buildings. So we're in that tower right now, which is very fun. The other thing I really like about where we are design wise is we're in a little bit like they're doing a little bit more with asymmetry. I think that especially in some of the climbing design, you get sort of like mirror, like it's always kind of mirrored and there's always, you know, an even number and sort of you're going back and forth. And here, one of the things I really like about how they do the design on this particular climb is that things are clearly asymmetrical. They're built out in a way that I think really does credit to the feeling of this building being an actual building. I do also want to try and put some energy into, you know, getting through some more of the truth, because we're getting into some really interesting, spaces with that one.
The artwork on the walls, and when your men paint the dome, take care not to disturb any of the sacred relics in the lanterna on top. They are the most important artifacts in our church.
Yes, Padre. Just make sure to pay us the full sum for our work.
So I was talking last time about one of the things that I don't love is how the game feels compelled to show Da Vinci decoding every codex page. But that scene that we watched as we came into the church, I think, does the opposite for me, where I think it really works, because it gives you sort of
Now I have a way back up in case I fall.
a clean narrative for, okay, we're in like the biggest church in Florence. Why is it empty? Like, churches like this are never really empty. And so we're being shown there's construction happening here. There's something going on about payment. There's a justification for us being here and not having to worry about being seen, which is important because then in future games, we will have sort of similar runs where we're trying to either where we're trying to get to a catacomb or a tomb through a big church that is crowded and where we are like attempting to avoid detection. And so having that there does sort of create, for me at least, a little bit of nice narrative consistency in a way. Like I wanted to point that out because I think that they do know how to do the thing well. It isn't always sort of a little bit cheesy and a little bit overdone. And I think it is worth sometimes hanging a lantern on that and just sort of saying, okay, this is something that is well done. And I think demonstrates that competency that I think is part of the reason why a lot of people really love these games and think that they are so strong, is that they do have that competency for like that sort of integrated narrative approach to storytelling. And now we're going to head back to Venice and dive in. Before we dive into talking about the truth, we're going to do a little bit more active digging through the truth today, because we're starting to get into the transition in sort of that meta, conspiracy plot from these artifacts are powerful and mystical into these artifacts let us do things to people and markets. Abstergo, like where it's where the Templar kind of transition in the sort of conspiracy theory space understanding from what we're seeing them as more directly inside of Ezio's time and into something that's a little bit more in line with how we think about like contemporary conspiracy theories around, like, I mean, I guess it is like there is a little bit of like conspiracy theories like this. It's hard to look at them without thinking a little bit about the Elders of Zion and some really problematic conspiracy spaces around like the types of people that control governments and media apparatus and that sort of thing. But we'll dig into that as we get into the specifics. So I believe, Tom, what you're referring to is prosperity gospel. Sorry to say, I'm pretty sure that is exactly what sort of prosperity gospel is kind of referring to. The idea that and I think to some extent that is also there is a reasonable connection between the Templar. I don't know how many times we've heard it, but like, may the Father of Understanding guide us is very much a nod to that sort of mentality. I think that there is sort of a difference of opinion inside of how we see the Templar play out, and as to whether or not they all believe in, like whether or not they all or any of them believe in God. Actually, the initiating incident in this game was a personal conflict between Templar and assassin bankers. Like, Ezio's family were Florentine bankers. The Pazzi were Florentine bankers, and that's sort of where that conflict came into play. But I think also most conspiracy theories come back to banking because they involve relationships around power. Part of the reason that it's really easy to frame Ezio's family in banking is because it is about a relationship to power, and like the idea that as assassins and as quote unquote good people, they were good bankers. They leveraged that power to bring benefit to society in a way that the game is trying to present as being positive, while and egalitarian, while the Pazzi and the Templar are doing that in a way that is meant to be seen as selfish and negative and controlling, if not destructive, which produces interesting parallels to what you're seeing as this game is coming out post 2008 and the financial crisis and the real estate bubble, and like all of those things play in. But I think like that's what conspiracy theories inevitably flow back to something tied to currency and money, because in modern society, it is hard to imagine a power structure that does not have a fundamental grounding in controlling or heavily manipulating those forces. Now let's climb a tall tower to impress a lady.
Climbing with a scaffold is all well and good. But let's see how you do out in the open.
The only thing taller than this tower is my intellect today. Apparently I'm fucking on one. Not hating it.
Like you've learned all I have to teach you. I'll let Antonio know of your progress. Finish your other tasks. We're almost there.
The men you freed will play a vital role in the weeks to come. Just ask for their help, and they'll join you.
And once I have my little band of thieves,
Send them towards a group of guards, and they'll create a distraction.
opening the way for me.
Exactly.
Saves me from having to bloody my sword. I like it.
Exactly. Now I'll tell you what to do with them. Antonio's plan calls for a bit of deception. We're to imitate his archers, which means we'll need the armor that they wear. A shipment of the stuff has just been loaded into chests and now awaits delivery to Seta. Loot the chests and retrieve the outfits. When that's finished, I'll need you to fetch me a boat as well and bring it back here. We'll use it to move our men into the palazzo undetected.
Consider it done.
Don't worry, it's a special boat, because I know it's kind of weird for him to be like, hey, I need a boat, as I'm looking at a very much unguarded boat.
Your good work has restored us to our former strength, Ezio. We are ready to strike.
Just tell me what needs to be done, and I'll see that it is.
You'll approach from above under the cover of night. Emilio has posted archers around the palazzo. Kill them, but do so quietly. As they fall, my men shall replace them.
What about the guards?
When you finish with the archers, we'll regroup in front of this building here and discuss next steps.
Nessun problema. I'll take care of the archers and return to you.
Then it's settled. In bocca al lupo.
There's no reason that I should have to press Y there. There's just no, like, it's not necessarily, it's just not necessary. If you want that scene to happen, it should happen. If you want it to be an option where it would have an impact, we're a ways off from that being a part of games like this. You know, we're not in KOTOR. I'm not trying to gain influence at the moment with different characters. But it is. I know it shouldn't frustrate me, but it does.
Of cards is crumbling, Emilio. A minor setback. It will be dealt with. This povero scemo Antonio and his thieves.
Never mind then. It's the assassin you should be worried about.
Why? Is he in Venezia?
He's been here for weeks. How could you be so blind?
Unlike you, I've been busy. Someone had to provide the weapons to our brothers in Firenze.
Yes. And we all...
Do not be afraid.
I feel no fear, assassin. Only regret. I sought unity. Stability. Order.
At too great a cost.
Progress demands sacrifice.
Non trova alcuna gioia in questo, ma non c'è altro modo. Requiescat in pace.
Okay, it's really good that we end on like that we're gonna move away from the primary plot on progress demand sacrifice. We've got a little bit of cinematic, but don't worry, we're heading into the truth now.
Couldn't resist. Come, let's open the gate for Antonio.
That was a very dainty landing for that much armor, but here we are. Again, just poking holes.
Set has fallen and Emilio is no more. All thanks to you, Ezio. Go! Tear down Emilio's banners. Return what he has stolen from the people.
Look, women are just powerful, and I'm brave enough to say it on stream.
How can I repay you for your service?
Sorry. Couldn't even keep a straight face of that. Women are powerful, and they deserve all of our respect, but that is not what that was about. That was just like a weird fucking rendering
I
thing.
was meeting with a man named Carlo. He looked to be a government official. Do you know him?
Carlo Grimaldi. He sits on the Council of Ten. Why do you ask?
Grimaldi.
I have a meeting to attend.
The truth. Okie dokie. So, oh, and we get into more fun puzzles too. Okay.
Something was up there. Something abandoned long ago.
Guess what? Moon landing truther time. It's not that we didn't go to the moon. They definitely think we did. Okay. What the fuck is that? Weird alien writing. Oh boy. I don't even know what that says. Where is it? It's beeping. Where the fuck is it? Oh, like way fucking closer than I thought it was. Okay. With these formidable weapons, the adversaries of freedom plan to consolidate their territory, to exploit, to control, finally to destroy. JFK. Rotating things. Puzzle. Okay. Ooh, nice. All right. So, now we get some fun conspiracy theory shit. I'm going to go around over here because I can't remember if there's anything actually interesting in the space. No. Okay. Under the American flag, guess what? It was Abstergo the whole time. Fucking weird, huh? Then over here, so then not on the spacesuit, this flag covered in Templar crosses. Again, fucking weird. And guess what? It's a piece of Eden.
It was easy.
So yeah, the moon landing was a Templar plot to get a piece of Eden off of the moon. Yep. No, they claimed the moon to get an orb from there. You know what, Tom? That's a great question. How did the orb get on the moon? That's a really good question. That's a really, really good question. Do you happen to recall a while back when I asked you how many aliens you thought were in the Assassin's Creed games? Anyway, don't worry about that now, because we will get more information on that eventually. And granted, like I'm making some hay out of this because it's very entertaining to do so. This is where we really start to get into. This game is going to start pulling on conspiracy theories that are historically associated with conservative thinkers and conservative thoughts. And it's going to start pulling on them in ways that don't, I think that especially with even a little bit of poking, prodding, and critical thinking, don't endorse the conservative thought process behind a lot of those conspiracy theories, but like it does that, the game is very intentionally leveraging those ideas and using them as your entry points and vectors. And so for folks who are already bought into that space, that becomes a very easy, that sort of, they aren't changing it enough to make it feel unappealing. Right. They're not out here trying to make it seem like they're not out here trying to poke fun at these conspiracies to make them seem like, oh, look at this. It's totally unrealistic. They're using them to say, oh, look at this, to interestingly frame this, obviously very compelling and interesting narrative that we are building. So
Wanted to stop the cycle. To tell the secret. Ugh, shit. I've got to keep thinking through the headaches.
From Nikola Tesla, the economic transmission of power without wires is of all surpassing importance to man. So Tesla is being set up here as like Tesla's the guy. Like Tesla saw the capacity for power like as a great potential. Misunderstandings are always caused by the inability of appreciating one another's point of view. The best way to dispel ignorance of the doings of others is by a systematic spread of general knowledge. With this object in view, it is most important to aid exchange of thought and intercourse. Nikola Tesla. Money does not represent such a value as men have placed upon it. All my money has been invested into experiments with which I have made new discoveries, enabling mankind to have a little easier life. So basically, so here we are coming into like this setup is presenting a view of like, these are things that the game thinks is good, like fights between individuals as well as governments and nations invariably result from misunderstandings in the broadest interpretation of this term. So again, we can talk about the complicated nature of Tesla as a person and all that, but like the game is framing this as like, this is the aspect of Tesla that the game is choosing to say, we should valorize this. He found it in Croatia. What did he find? He found an apple. He found an apple of Eden in Croatia, which gave him access to information that got him to...
They would find it in his lab.
So the game is presenting Tesla, as sort of the ideal. And that's, this is sort of the beginning of the this is very early on in the contemporary awareness of sort of the, how I think a lot of people today talk about the rivalry between Tesla and Edison and sort of how that shook out and the long-term impacts of that. I think that conversation has changed a lot, from where things were when this game came out, and in many ways now align much more directly with what is being presented to us in this sort of snapshot of Tesla. Oh, also, if I haven't pointed this out before, all of these are like, all of the things we're seeing are visuals that we saw on like painted in blood inside of the lab at Abstergo before we escaped at the end of Assassin's Creed 1. Okay, so now we go from Tesla to Edison. So the Edison archive, which we get to unlock. So now we're doing some fun with cipher wheels. This is great. So we're looking for a clue here. And if I look over at the diagram which we can see the Tesla diagram that's being noted here. At the very bottom, we see 4 equals 1. So we're going to go ahead and align the 4 to the 1 from the laboratory of Thomas A. Edison. Dear Mr. Morgan, a serious matter has come to my attention. Nikola Tesla plans to use PE4, Piece of Eden 4, to create an information network across the entire world. And if that weren't bad enough, he intends to allow access to it for free. Imagine the masses spreading knowledge amongst themselves instantaneously. That would make everything we intend to do much more difficult. You must cut all funds for his experiments at once. In case you get cold feet, I'll have you know he wants to make electricity free as well, thereby putting us out of business. I've already begun slandering Tesla in the press. Just relocate his funding, and I'll take care of PE4 myself. Sincerely yours, Thomas Edison. So, basically taking the relationship between Edison and Tesla and sort of their contentious relationship, the idea that the historical circumstance that we have a lot of evidence for that Edison functionally ruined Tesla. At least financially, there was a lot going on with Tesla that we can get into elsewhere. Taking that idea and turning it into something that is about, if nothing else, a piece of Eden, and implying that Edison knew enough about what's going on to be able to refer to it as a piece of Eden, and not just an object. So implying that Edison was in some way tied in with the Templar. And then Edison, creator of DC electricity, accuses Tesla of, I missed what that is, but like, this is the slander. JP Morgan votes funding for Tesla's projects. Edison creates the electric chair to prove the danger of AC current. Edison proves the danger of AC current. So, trigger content warning, they don't actually show this, but it is still an upsetting clip.
He wanted everyone to know the secret, to set us all free. They used it to drive him insane.
Right. And then the implication is that once they took back the apple, they used the influence of the apple to induce the mania and general insanity that Tesla experienced. Which is rough. I mean, it's a rough thing to, it's a rough thing to square. Okay. So, now we're on to Ford. And with Ford, we are diving straight in. They're not pulling any punches. They're starting with Ford's anti-Semitism, the international Jew, the world's problem. The cipher here is based on this symbol that is in that article and the number 2 on the Roadster. So we line those up there. Henry. And so then we get 1 is 2 lines and a dot. 3. So if we're following the sequence here, so 3 dots become a line. So 3 coming after 2 lines and 2 dots would be just 3 dots, or 3 lines, excuse me. And then 9 would be 1 line and 2 dots. Henry Ford, Dearborn, Michigan. Dear Mr. Edison, I wanted to thank you for letting me make use of PE4 all these years. Among several things, I was able to convince the workers I was raising their pay to $5 a day, when in fact I gave them a pay cut. But I had to let PE4 go. As per instructions, I've shipped it to Europe. H has it, so I assume the war will begin as soon as he can take over. Well, let him have his fun. Lord knows that kind of purge will be good for Europe, and then end it with a bang as planned. Out of the chaos of war, a new order will emerge. I've enclosed a picture from Florida of you, me, and Firestone. We should attempt to spend more time on the golf course this summer. Yours, Henry Ford. So, here we get into the increasingly, like, this is where we're sort of crossing into like a more, we're going into like a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theories are now becoming more intrinsic to the mythos and history of the game itself. The implication of this letter is that after Edison stole the piece of Eden from Tesla, he lent it to Ford, and Ford leveraged that to take advantage of his workers on the assembly line. And then prior to the outbreak of World War II, he sent the piece of Eden to a person who we can only assume is Hitler, with the intention of producing the Holocaust and World War II. This is rough. This is a very early 2000s, early 2000s and thing. This is a very 2000s approach to this. It's pretty aggressive. It was also kind of edgy at the time. It was the type of thing people to this day still think of Edison and Ford as being sort of the fathers of modern innovation. A lot of people look at them without a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? They don't think about it too hard. They don't really scrutinize who they were as much as, we do more now, but it was not the case in 2009. We were like Edison, the Edison Tesla conflict was not something people actively talked about. Henry Ford, the extent to which Henry Ford was an anti-Semite, and the ways in which his innovations around the assembly line did disadvantage workers and cause problems for labor was not a big part of the public consciousness in the way it is today, to the extent that it is today. So yeah. It's tough. Like this, the conspiracy stuff we're starting to get into the part where it's weird. And we will see that, the designers realize they've painted themselves into some corners here. The Ubisoft team will we'll get into audio logs and things, in future, where they talk a little bit more about, like, we do get some World War II stuff. We do get a little bit more European history. They, at least as far as I understand, they have no intention of ever touching World War II. There are too many games about World War II, and B, it would be rough. It would be hard for them to, given what this game is about and what it does, it would be tough for them to do it with any like grace, without having to like really unpick it. And I think at this point they know better than to trust themselves to try and do it. Having found this one, I'm gonna this one's fast, and then we'll go climb that tall tower. So this is Trinity. This is the Trinity project. We're jumping right back in from the ending of the last letter. All right. So Abstergo Corporation subject test authorization. There comes a time in the life of every experiment when we must test our results outside in the world. I do not relish a successful outcome, but one is essential if we are to begin the foundations of a new world order. Global security and prosperity depend on a steady hand guiding the populace, a hand that will not falter under the weight of conscience. Give the authorization. I believe that history will vindicate us in the end. So give Oppenheimer the authorization. And now we get to watch nuclear test explosion. Hooray. So yeah, we're, you know, the truth is really going for some like fun, weird mask off shit. It was so weird, like getting off the ferry the first time when we came to Venice, and like when we like came into the city proper, and it was just bizarre, like walking into this square, having spent like literally like hours, like dozens of hours, climbing through the city, running through its streets. Like I just knew, I knew exactly where I was and exactly where I wanted to go. And it was just wild, just truly exceptionally wild. But here, before we go do another secret in the truth, we'll go ahead and climb up here so that we can get like a good full, this is actually going to give us like the best view of the city in the game. So we'll be able to just get a nice look at everything.
I don't know what's happening to me. I have been in the machine. You keep putting me back in, and I am losing control. It's all blurring together. I'm holding a rifle. Gettysburg is in the distance. I just stabbed a man, and there's blood on my waistcoat. I'm at the opera. Soprano. So beautiful. I'm in bed with her. She cries as I fuck her. I'm speaking at the forum. No one listens. I'm in the forest hunting. Oh, the moon. I can see the moon. I'm here. I have to stay here until you understand. Listen, why do we have these gifts, these abilities? Because it's in our blood.
Okay, subject 16. As we start experiencing him more, is the way he's voiced, the way he's written, is a certain type of guy. I don't want to talk about that too much because we'll get to that more in a couple games. This puzzle. The seeds were planted as two worlds became one. Behold the assassins, the children of two worlds. So Danae visited by Zeus. The three graces. Interesting. Venus of Urbino. Jupiter and Io. Adam X. Leda and the Swan. Cupid and Psyche. Hero and Leander. Cleopatra before Caesar. The Rape of Europa. So, what do all those pictures have in common? Those are depictions of nudity. All of the pictures had nudity in common, but the pictures that led to the code are all depictions of the conception of demigods, which is weird. It's a thing that hasn't come up in this game before, but like this suddenly is introducing the concept of not just the concept of like a divine hybrid, but also potentially a pantheon. It's such a swerve, but here it is. Guardians, unlocking the file. All right. The death of all tyrants will set the people free. The assassins. John Wilkes Booth, Francis Delavar, Francisco Pizarro, Marie the First of England, Thomas de Torque, Cleopatra, Joseph Stalin, Rasputin. These are all targets of the assassins, not assassins themselves. That is kind of important. Or they're all assassins. I don't know. Like, it is weird. Like, again, so we have a weird mix. Like, Cleopatra was an assassin, was a target of an assassin. Hard to say. John Wilkes Booth and Rasputin. Like, we've had Rasputin come up, but Rasputin seemed to be a tool of the Templar. So there's some like inconsistency there. So that's why it seems like they are targets rather than assassins. But again, weird. We're getting into this weird space of the conspiracy is trying to hold on to a needle where it can like be politically interesting, be a little bit like be politically interesting, be edgy, be challenging, but not, throw people off too much. And I think it struggles. When we get to here. Next time around, we will track down these last two secrets in Florence, and we'll dive into the next bit of assassinations in Venice and start having a little bit more fun there. So, as always, if you aren't following us on YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, please consider doing so. We are Falcon Fictive. And if you are, thanks as always. It has been fun. And I'll see you again at 7:30 next Thursday. Stay cool, stay safe, resist fascism, be kind to each other. Bye.